Today's live stream is going to be about fundraising. A lot of friends right now are getting their short films off the ground. They are looking for fundraising advice and they're looking for funds to be able to make their art come true. And I think it's great. And as somebody who's run multiple fundraisers and only failed on reaching the fundraising goals twice, one was like due to my own inexperience and the other, while I was getting the things going, and the other was just pure because like it was a very ambitious goal. Well, let's just put it this way. I was the one hustling the links, but not everybody was. Fundraising is very hard. And there are lots of platforms out there, and there have been for years. And I remember when I first started fundraising, Kickstarter was the place to go. Kickstarter is great, but it's starting to be kind of an archaic thing. Kickstarter is great when it hit the scene because you were able to build a campaign, build in your rewards. Everything looked really nice and continues to look really nice. Like if you go to a Kickstarter website, like you will see some really nice stuff. And then Indiegogo came on the scene. And I don't know which came first. Sorry, I didn't do this level of research. I don't know if Indiegogo was a thing and then Kickstarter did it better or what the situation is. I actually want to do a video more about that to sort of really teach people about the history of Indiegogo and to highlight the journey of the businesses as they went, because they've both been around for close to a decade now. With a film, you guys probably know the journey. And if you don't, because you're new here, then let me explain the journey to you. When you make a film, it's a multi-year adventure. You write the film, you cast the film, you crew the film, you fund the film, you arrange and make everything with the logistics happen, whether it's you solo or you with help. You put everything into place. Then you shoot the film. Then sometimes you have to reshoot the film. Then you edit the film or you finish editing the film. Smart directors who have been doing this for a long time understand and respect the value of having an editor on set. Let me tell you that right now. Get an editor on your sets because it makes the process so much better. And I know that in Hollywood it's kind of standard practice, which, think about it. Why is that? Indiegogo is really popular. Every single filmmaker probably knows about Indiegogo. Log in, start a campaign. Let's just start a campaign. So here we go. Crowdfunding, launch your campaign. Let's just go through the journey as if we're just going through it. No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Let's go to the Q&A. Flexible funding options. That's cool. And it has a lot of offerings. Is my project eligible? You will need a bank account in a country supported by the processor and the Stripe, which most businesses have. Do I need a physical product? No. Does it cost anything? Yeah, this is the one I want to know. See, it says right there. Indiegogo charges a 5% platform fee on all funds raised for your campaign. Fees are calculated and deducted from the funds you actually raise, not the goal you set. Our payment, yeah, okay. So like, for example, if you set an $8,000 goal and raise $10,000, you're going to be charged on the $10,000, not the $8,000, which makes sense. So it's a flat 5% fee. However, I'm interested to say what they say about Indiegogo versus Kickstarter. Interesting. The claws are out, everybody. So this is a fun little, however. Oh my God. They charge way more than 5%. I'm here to tell you. They charge more. And I'm going to zoom this in even more so that y'all hear me. They charge more. Okay? They charge more. They really do. And they justify it by saying, well, the credit card processing takes what it takes, and Stripe is a processor that takes this much. And I'm here to tell you, I've worked with computers for 15 years before I did the film thing. I did film on the side while I had a job as a computer programmer full time. I have a degree in computer science. I worked with credit card reconciliation for one of my jobs at a company that processed payments. Guess what, folks? It does not cost another 6% to take a payment. It doesn't. Stripe takes maybe 1.5%. Most credit cards will take about that much. But Indiegogo takes a lot more than the 5% that it says. And they say, oh, here we go. Fees. Let's go. Entrepreneurs fees. Let's talk. There you go. Transaction fee. On top of, and then a transfer fee. So they charge fees. And that's what they tell you, because I'm telling you right now, like what's this asterisk? Payment processors may charge additional fees for the contributions coming from outside the United States, and yes. And that part I understand. So for example, if you have some support from England, but I am here to tell you that's a 5% fee, and then on top of that, a 3% fee that they tell you about. Okay, so Indiegogo actually does do this better than Kickstarter in that you don't have to reach your full amount to collect the funds that were given to you, which is nice. Seed and Spark and Kickstarter both both require you to reach a certain threshold. Kickstarter requires you to meet your whole goal. Seed and Spark requires you to meet 85%. If flexible funding doesn't seem right for you and you have a strict go or no-go threshold, you can run a fixed campaign instead. Oh, that's cool. You only keep the funds you raise. If you meet your goal, all your backers will be refunded within 5 to 7 days. Well, that makes sense. I mean, if you know that you can't run it. Like, for example, this makes a lot of sense, too, because it's like, if you know you have a script that cannot be made into a feature film for under 40K, you have to set that as a firm goal and be like, okay, I either get the 40K or everybody else should just take their money back because I can't make this film without it. You can understand the logic behind that. Please note that the minimum amount is $500. Okay. Fees and pricing. Let's read some more about fees and pricing. Oh, here we are back to this guy. Let's go in the platform fee. Yep. And then the transaction fees. This is all just, and then the transfer fee. Transfer fees or bank fees are applied each time we send funds to your bank account. Really? Your bank may charge additional fees. I mean, yeah, the bank, if you choose a crappy bank, it's going to charge you money to take in money, which don't bank with the people who do that. Don't do that. You have your choice of banks. Why would you do that to yourself? Indiegogo is not responsible for incurred. Yeah, I know. You're responsible for the fees you actually take. So it winds up being like more than the 8% that they advertise. I know somebody who lost like 11% of their funds based on random fees that were like this. Let's go with the platform fee, flat 5%. Cool. Okay. That hurts already, because if you're a fundraiser, if you've ever run a fundraiser in the indie sphere, then you understand you're trying to make every single dollar stretch. And when you put together a thing that says, I need $2,000 to make this happen, you lose 10% of that because of random fees and the transactions and stuff. Losing $200 of that $2,000 means that you now need to go out and get $200 more because, and then saying you need, more than that, then you're like, oh man, is this even going to get funded? Because, Indiegogo wants their cut, and it's a hefty cut. You just have other costs that are accruing, and you're like, okay, I might as well just not make anything, because honestly, that 200 hurt. You know what I mean? So if you've been in that situation, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And then you have the internal debate of, okay, well, why don't you just tack on Indiegogo's cut on top of your estimated budget, which a lot of people are like, yeah, that's what you should do. And then you're like, okay, but I don't think that I could raise that much. I could raise X, but I can't raise X plus 10% X. I've been a programmer for much of my job adult career. All of this takes a lot of time to code. All of this takes a lot of time to test, run updates, make sure that it's all good. But once it's set up, it actually doesn't take as much manpower to keep going. And so at a certain point, when you start to look around and you see platforms like Seed and Spark that only charge 3%, and you see GoFundMe that doesn't charge anything because they really want, the people who are in need to get every single dollar, and they ask for the donors to say, all right, it takes us some time to run GoFundMe. If you want to make sure that we can keep the lights on, then maybe kick us an extra tip. Now you've got a model that actually respects that truth, which is, it took us a long time to get here, but now that we're here, it doesn't take a long time to keep us going. And so maybe 10% is no longer acceptable. Maybe 11% is actually gouging the person. Because when you look around and you see other people who are really remembering that these are people who are asking for money, if you're just letting the computer do its thing with the code that was written almost a decade ago, and maybe it's just unethical to charge that much at this point. And so that's my beef with Indiegogo, because same thing with Kickstarter. I was really happy to run Kickstarter. I ran... I think Guidance was my 4th Kickstarter in the last 25 years, because I ran 3 of them for other people or with other projects as well. So I had the experience of okay, well, I mean, this is the platform. Everybody knows it. You're discoverable here. It's got a lot of value, but it no longer makes sense to surrender 10% when you could be surrendering 1% for the processing fee, or 2% or 3% for the processing fee plus something for the people that are running the platform, so they don't have to ask for tips. Because Seed and Spark does good work as well. So there you go. Fund a project or start a project. Nice. Good success rate. Clean website. Pretty good. Calling all creators. Let's read Crowdfunding, why Seed and Spark resources, fiscal sponsors. Oh, that's cool. Crowdfunding 101. Let's just start there. I'm trying to find where they have, I mean, the discoverability of their fees should be a little bit easier. Legal ducks in a row, chain of the title, sure. Building, using social media, interesting. They give you advice on how to, ooh, this is nice. See, I didn't find this section before. Maybe they added this. Here we go. Kickstarters, 37. This is nice. This is, oh, look. It's actually really interesting. A lot of people don't succeed on Indiegogo. Interesting. Net platform fee and 0. Amazing. So they charged 3% in order to cover whatever happens with the funds going into the fundraiser and maybe a little bit. So they were hedging their bets for the more expensive cards, which, okay. Some cards like Discover, in my experience, maybe it's changed since then, charge more for a transaction. But most of them are like 1.5%. Stripe charges about 1.5% on most normal domestic transactions for credit cards. That's not so bad. Let's just go to the FAQ and I'm going to search for fees. Sounds like a good keyword. What are your crowdfunding fees? Crowdfunding fees, 0 platform fee to creators. Dang straight. Only fees are the payment processing that go directly to Stripe, the third-party payment processor. Payment processing is going to there. Yep, 2.9% of each pledge. Okay, and plus 30 cents. Project based in Canada may be subject to additional fees, but that's fine. It's so true. This is what I'm trying to tell you. Artists are broke because art costs money to make, but if you're not in an established company that does this for a living, if you're not part of like a corporate machine that then has a place and a platform to distribute and actually earn money from the art that you make, there's no fundage for you to actually make anything. And so this is why a lot of people have so much trouble and heartache going out there and fundraising so that they can make the things that they want to make. This means so much. This sentence means so much to so many. Filmmakers keep more of what they raise. Thank you. Yes. And this is annoying though. You can find a full breakdown of the fees in your section. I'm like, but give them to me ahead of time, please. Or give me the potential list ahead of time. I'm just going to give this like that. That's my rating. Because I'm not fully satisfied. I wish you'd give me a rubric of an example of things that happen. Like, this is what happens if you get a good donation from like Germany. This is what happens if all your processing is domestic and you live in the US. This is what happens for projects that are in Canada. You have these numbers. Publish them. I also don't like that you have to be 85% funded in order to get the green light. That is annoying because you can do, as a creator, especially a lot of creators lately, I've been kind of advising to go to GoFundMe because you can have time to build your budget, and then one brick on top of another can make your project go. So if you have access to a GoFundMe that you know is going to take like 6 months to make for your feature film budget to go anywhere, it's a really good strategy to put it out there and be like, this is what we need for pre-production. And it changes for production and it changes for post-production because these are the costs for this are the costs for this is the cost for this, and we are poor, starving artists. I'm interested about these clauses. I didn't see this before. Evaluating Indiegogo versus Kickstarter. But yeah, I mean, an article by Indiegogo about Indiegogo could be biased. The discoverability of these platforms has changed and is changing. Seed and Spark is starting to have an awakening right about now. People didn't used to know about Seed and Spark. It just came on the scene, don't quote me, just a few years ago. It's not as old and not as established as Kickstarter and Indiegogo. And Kickstarter and Indiegogo set the playing field, but now these other platforms are doing it better. GoFundMe, by the way, was actually on par with those things, but it was much more for charity and medical support and really getting people out of a sticky situation, which is why they are incredibly generous with the fact that all the money and all the donations, as much as they can give to the creators, they do. And this is like the ethical way of being, in my opinion. Like, this is just my opinion, but I mean, that's what I would do, right? You don't go around like when you, if your neighbor has a scrape and they need some help paying their bills for the next month, this happened a lot during COVID or whatever. A lot of people would go out of their way, like to go shopping for the thing and, hey man, Venmo me $5 so that I can buy Mrs. O'Malley her groceries for the week. And some people would chip in. How would you feel if, you took a little bit off the top while you were buying Mrs. O'Malley's groceries? Like, would you even be able to sleep at night? How would you feel if you were person giving something to Mrs. O'Malley and then you watch somebody take like $10 out of your $100 and put it in their own pocket? How would you feel? There's empathy involved in this conversation. And I just think that after this has been so established, it's time for a change. These two new platforms, Seed and Spark and GoFundMe, which has been around a lot longer, but is now starting to be used by artists and people that need money, but they're getting fleeced by these other platforms. It's time for the old guard to have a change, to be awakened, to have a thoughtful conversation about ethics. So Kickstarter versus Indiegogo. Guys, guess what? It's time to update your metric here. Why don't you evaluate you versus Kickstarter versus Indiegogo versus Seed and Spark? It's time for a new article, folks. It's time. Like, this is outdated at this point. Y'all are missing the other side of the equation. Y'all are not paying attention to what's happening around you in the space that you're in. Y'all are going to get left behind. As you weigh your options, consider this. Indiegogo is the leading platform for tech products, as well as only full lifecycle platform for all art projects, social impact campaigns, environmental. It's not. Except it's not. So whether you're developing a tech product or starting a project for social good, Indiegogo will help you successfully launch your campaign every step of the way. I mean, I don't doubt that that's what you mean to do. I gotta say Seed and Spark is doing it better than you, because Indiegogo has a lot of programming steps to make sure that you fill in all the boxes, and Kickstarter has it too. When you're filling out a form, I actually thought about doing this video, but then I just decided not to. I wanted to do a walkthrough video of how to set up a campaign, but honestly, like, you could probably figure that out by yourself. And number two, I don't want to highlight how to use this platform when I don't believe in it. There you go. That's the answer. I know I'm throwing around a little salt, and for somebody who's a friendly filmmaker, I'm trying to keep things positive and more but I gotta tell you, like, for every single filmmaker, I'll tell you what I did last week. I had a friend who is doing a really cool period piece, and I wanted to donate to her project. I just wanted to help her out. She's talented, she is thoughtful, and what she was doing is a really cool and very meaningful project. I wanted to help, but I was like, I can't click on the Indiegogo link, because I know that when I donate, you're not getting all of it. You're kind of getting fleeced. And so it burst my bubble, and I was like, can I just PayPal you? So I contacted her and I PayPal'd her. So that's me going around Indiegogo, because that much that I was like, I'm just going to give this to you directly, because I don't want you to get fleeced. Like, I want all of this to go to the project, not to all these transaction fees that, frankly, don't even smell right. Like, some of them are just like, oh, here's a surprise fee. That 5%, that 3%, that 8% just turned into 12. 3 reasons to choose: partnership and support. I'm sure that you have ability to hit up the support team if you're in trouble. Cool. That's fine. And I'm sure that you have the ability to do cutting edge tools, and, these tools are great. I've used this. It is really good programming. It's nice, it's usable, it's understandable, it's intuitive, and it blocks you from making mistakes to a certain degree, because it is programmed. It's not a person looking at it. And now I want to get back to what I was saying about Seed and Spark, which is that when you go to Seed and Spark, there's a human verifying all of your stuff and giving you feedback on a more subjective level, not just the objective, did you forget this box? When you submit it, it's already gone through that initial program computer check to see that you've filled in all the blocks. But now, on top of that, they have humans who take a look at your campaign and judge. They will watch your video and say, all right, this pitch video is a little too meh. It's not going to work for you. Can you get better sound? Can you get better lighting? Can you maybe speed up the edit? Can you do some trickery? Maybe shorten it a little bit because it's boring. They will give you granular feedback about your campaign before it goes to launch. Indiegogo don't do that. Neither does Kickstarter. I was floored when I saw that Seed and Spark did that. I was floored. Flexibility, worldwide reach. I mean, that's true. But I got to tell you, websites are intrinsically worldwide reachable. Unless, of course, all right, we won't get into the whole censorship thing. That's a whole different can of worms I'm not getting into, but you understand what I mean. If you can see an Indiegogo site, you can see a Seed and Spark site. You can see a GoFundMe site. You can see a Kickstarter site. My website has worldwide reach. My website has flexibility. Guess what? You can view it on your phone and on a computer. Oh, that's flexible right there. Because again, I don't think that anybody who works there is like waking up and saying, I'm going to screw somebody over today. I just think that the model needs to be rethought, recalibrated. Fairness needs to be examined here. I wonder what that's a good metric. I wonder what the company turnover is at that place. And Kickstarter, and Seed and Spark, and GoFundMe. So every single person we talked to and worked with, yep, I know, that's really nice, but they probably had to reach out. Whereas Seed and Spark is part of their flow, it's part of their workflow. So I'm just saying. I mean, I'm happy that this is here. Indiegogo provides pre- and post-campaign work tools to take your project beyond. Okay, freedom to raise. Okay, but you're not comparing anything to Kickstarter. I feel cheated. This isn't evaluating anything. I feel completely cheated. I just clicked for nothing. All right, let's talk about GoFundMe. How GoFundMe works. This is nice. GoFundMe is the trusted place to fundraise for what you care about. No pressure to hit your fundraising goal. Thank you. And we have the creative tools to make it easy for donors to contribute to your fundraiser. Thank you. Learn step by step what you need to get started. Like I said, it started out as a health platform. It started out as I can't pay my rent because my landlord jacked up my prices. Everything is falling apart. My children need to eat. Like, help. Or, God forbid, I have, the folks out there that have medical issues or their pets have medical issues. Like, let's not disrespect. GoFundMe was the charity, get me out of trouble. I'm pulling a ripcord and asking people for help just because, like, life happened and I need some help. That primarily used to be the association with GoFundMe, but a lot of artists have found their way onto the platform. And I actually have been encouraging my friends to use GoFundMe because of all these, it's the easiest to set up and it's the most heartfelt one that's in and around today. So how does it work? Following the prompts, start a GoFundMe. It's same sort of thing. You set up your story. Who are you? Who are you fundraising for? A video, an image. Set your fundraising goal. Remember, you can always change it later. I've actually been on fundraisers that were not run by me that hit their goal, but actually this recently happened for Thursday Special. So they started with like a very modest, like, this is what we just need at the minimum to cover for food, and I will pay for everything else. And he already tossed in so much money to even get the ball rolling to that point. He's like, this is like peanuts. Everybody, I've been borrowing and stealing labor and work and tools and supplies and things like that to make this thing happen. This is my modest budget. And then we hit that goal. And he says, okay, well, that's great. That's fantastic. And now we can kind of, if we get this much more, we can afford the nicer thing to get a better result. Like we can rent a proper camera or whatever all else. There's post-production on a film as well. I mean, it's good that you can update it because it adds a level of flexibility that other people don't have. Find more tips on our blog to ask for donations, writing. Oh yeah, this is freaking crucial. The writing a donation, thank you letter, like so important. It's so important to thank genuinely. One small transaction fee is automatically deducted per donation, and that's because it has to actually process the payment. I wonder what it is, though. How it works. Oh, okay. No fee to create a fundraiser. Donor contributions, GoFundMe are optional. Donor contributions to GoFundMe are optional. Yep. Donors can tip if they want to. And then the transaction fee is this. So that's actually the same as Seed and Spark. I didn't realize. I thought it was lower. This is the same as Seed and Spark. The two of them are comparable. That's really good to know. I didn't know. I mean, this is a pretty standard rate, like I was saying when I looked at it as Seed and Spark. I thought it was lower. I'll be honest, I thought it was lower. Well, I learned something today. But still, you see that this is like the bare minimum. This is the fee that Stripe charges-ish. And the credit cards, like the higher-end credit cards, will charge this much. This makes sense. Automatically deducted, so you never have to worry about paying a bill. It's also a good thing. If you raise $500 from 5 donors, what is this? Oh, cool. You'd receive $484 payout. Yeah. Look at this! Right, because it takes $300 plus the 30 cents. Interesting. The higher the percentage is taken out because you have different process. Yeah, that makes perfect sense, right? Because you have to process. This is so genius. Guys, have you seen this before? Because I haven't. This is new to me. Look at this. It gives you the brass tacks. This is what I was asking for the Indiegogo. Look at this. They're giving you BS over here. They're giving you partnership and support. Yeah, thank you. Cutting edge tools. You want to know cutting edge tool? This is a cutting edge tool. What is a transaction fee? Explains it to you. Donors contribute in ways that are always optional. Yes, and I actually always tip when I do the GoFundMe. When I give to a GoFundMe, I'm like, thank you, here's your paycheck too. I actually heard, I need to look this up. Maybe I shouldn't even say it. But one of my friends, even when he's drunk at the time, I shouldn't say that either. He may or may not have had a few, but he actually donated like that week when we were talking. This was 6 months ago. And he told me he had made an Indiegogo donation and they asked him for an additional tip for Indiegogo. And I was like, I'm sorry. You said GoFundMe? He goes, no, Indiegogo. I was like, I'm sorry. So they take from the creators and they were asking for another donation. Hang on a sec. I really have to look this up because I don't want to give them I want to throw shade where shade is due, but I don't want to see now I attacked myself into a corner. Let me look this up real fast. About us. Yeah. Okay. Murder. I don't believe you. Billy giving to launch the groundbreaking products. Okay. I'm happy. Empower people. I mean, yes, thank you, but powered by curiosity. Well, yeah, I mean, they do have more eyeballs, but, and this is what I want them to understand. That's about to change, y'all. Okay? Your eyeballs are not going to stay here if you keep doing people wrong like this. Because I haven't run an Indiegogo in years. I just now backed 2 Indiegogos by just PayPaling the people because I wanted to have them avoid your fees because I know what the artist's struggle is like. I'm walking away from Kickstarter. I like the interaction, okay? The ones that I had. I won't say that it's they just take too much, right? I have more options now. And so this is what I'm trying to say. The landscape is changing. And if you don't change with it, you're going to get left behind. So those eyeballs that y'all are touting right now, that's going to change. This number, it's not going to stay that way. A group of backers is more than 9 million people. Guess what? How many of those was within the last 5 years versus how many was before that? Do a comparison, because if that number is declining, you have information you need now. Here we go. Help and support. How may we help you? Thank you for having a search. I appreciate that, though. I am going to say donations. Oh, I know. Tips on donations. Let's see if that yields any result. Oh, here we go. What? Refund my tip. Oh, my God. Verified for true. What? How dare you? How dare you? I'm going to come off as anti-tip a little if I don't be careful, if I'm not careful right now. But I got to tell you, I am indignant that they dare to put tips into their model, given that they take so much money away from creators as it is. How dare you? And not only that, but here's the thing that I'm going to give you a little history lesson because tipping, I would love to take a look at their legals now. Tipping is in the US culture is standard practice, but it's also codified in the tax code. I want to know how they're handling the taxes now that they're asking for tips, because that is borderline tax evasion. If a restaurant, which works and operates in this tipping culture, is declared as it takes tips from its people, here's the legal truth. When it pays its employees, the tip from the customer is supposed to bridge the gap between what the employer pays and what is considered minimum wage at the time of the tip. If the employee is not making from tips enough to cover that gap, the employer is responsible for making up that amount. And taxes are adjusted accordingly every single time to make this happen. So for example, it's an example. This is not true. Say that minimum wage was $20. Say that the employer paid the employee $12 with the understanding that if the waitress was going around and doing all the work and getting good tips, she'd make maybe $10 more. On top of that, she'd pay a tax on that. She would pay a tax on the $12 that she earned plus the $10 that she earned on tips, and that would be fine. But if she only made $5 on tips, she would still need, that's 12 plus 5 is 17. She would still need $3 more from the employer to bridge the gap so that she earned minimum wage, on which she would be charged an income tax. How's that for a history lesson for you? Now I want to know, does the tax code know that these mofos are charging tips? And how are they handling that? Because they're technically not registered as a tipping business. Are they? That's what my question is. Businesses who quantify themselves as a tip accepting entity pay different taxes than those who do not. This is a corporation, last I checked. And I want to know how that works. Now I've got a beef. Oh, now I'm angry. You know how much computer programmers get paid as compared to like Uber drivers, or as compared to waitresses, or as compared to people who work at Starbucks? Do you have any idea what the gap disparity, the pay disparity is between computer programmers or CEOs who are sitting at their desks who have already got this engine running? And here's them asking for tips? Well, now you understand what we're talking about. So I hope you found this elucidating. I definitely threw some salt, and I'm not sorry. When you're a starving artist, where every dollar counts, where you are trying to pay people, where you are trying to cover your butt just a little bit so that if a $780 case breaks on your production, you can cover that cost. If you run into a situation like this, where you have a choice in the marketplace to run your fundraiser, which takes a lot of effort no matter what platform you choose. You are looking at Indiegogo, you are looking at Kickstarter, you are looking at Seed and Spark, and you are looking at GoFundMe. I think I've given you a lot of information here today about which one you should pick. And for those that have been around a while now, Indiegogo, GoFundMe, thank you for starting all of this. I just want to put that out there. The idea was great. The idea is great to put people in touch with people who might help them fund art. Thank you. Patreon, Ko-fi, they owe you a thank you. GoFundMe owes you a thank you. Seed and Spark definitely owes you a thank you. But guess what? The landscape is changing, and what you're doing, especially Indiegogo with your tips, are you freaking kidding me? That's just unethical. Y'all need to take a look at what the consumers are doing. Y'all need to pay attention as to where the attention is going. The marketplace changes, and you can't ride the wave of your success that came before. If you are sitting on your laurels, you're gonna get some people that run right past you. To everybody running a Kickstarter, or an Indiegogo, or a Seed and Spark, or a GoFundMe, or anything, mad props. Props to you. I'm thinking of you. I want to see your art made, but y'all are probably going to get some PayPal deposits from me if I choose to donate. Just saying. Thank you, lovely people, for joining me, and I will talk to you later. I hope this has been helpful, as salty as it was, and I will talk to you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye.
Friendly Filmmaker is a Tuba Creations production. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Mastodon. And if you like what we do, consider supporting us on Ko-fi with either a one-time donation or a membership. Members get all sorts of great perks. Check out ko-fi.com/friendlyfilmmaker for more. That's ko-fi.com/friendlyfilmmaker. Thanks for watching.